I want to meet you. I want to meet the you inside of you. The you inside of you that will not be denied. The overlooked you. The disrespected you. The you inside of you. The overcomer you. The refuse to quit you. The in spite of you. The against all odds you. The even though I'm sick, I go anyway you. The knock down you, but the get back up you. All I'm trying to say is I want to meet the awesome. Be awesome. You know you're awesome. You're awesome. Yeah, you. Be awesome. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. God makes no mistakes. Be awesome. You're awesome. You're awesome. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Be awesome. You're awesome. You're awesome. Yeah. I want to talk to you. That woke up in the morning to get at you. The you inside of you that believes that anything less than awesome is an insult to our Creator. The world needs you to be awesome. The enemy needs to know that you are awesome. I want to talk to you because you need to be awesome. Yeah. Be awesome. So pull back the curtain. You're awesome. Hello, world. Be awesome. Repeat after me. It's me unapologetically because I'm awesome. He woke me up this morning. Started me on my way. Be awesome. Be awesome. In the mirror, what did I see? My great God keeps blessing me. So awesome. I'm awesome. Awesome, 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 awesome. And you're nothing less. You're awesome. Awesome. You're awesome. 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 Be awesome. So awesome. So awesome. Be awesome. Check it out. When I look in the mirror, what do I see? My great God keeps blessing me. My great God keeps blessing me. That makes me awesome. On your job, be awesome. In your school, be awesome. In your church, be awesome. Be awesome. Be awesome. No matter what you look like, just be awesome. Work from the inside out. With a smile on your face. God woke you up this morning. That ought to be enough to make you get up and smile. Say, I'm awesome. Yes, it is. I'm awesome. No matter what nobody else thinks. I'm awesome. Yes, sir, I'm awesome. I'm awesome. Yes, sir. I'm awesome. Yes, sir, I'm awesome. You ought to go to your job and tell them, I'm awesome. Yeah, I'm awesome. 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 Oh, yes, you are. W-E-S-O-M-E. Say it. A-W-E-S-O-M-E. Check it. A-W-E-S-O-M-E. Say it. A-W-E-S-O-M-E. I am A-W-E-S-O-M-E. Yes, sir. I'm A-W-E-S-O-M-E. Yeah. A-W-E-S-O-M-E. Check it out. A-W-E-S-O-M-E. Say it. A-W-E-S-O-M.
Greetings and good morning, entrepreneurs and kingdompreneurs. This is Darrell Sheila, part of the KingCast Network. Just wanted to connect with you this morning. I hope you're ready to ignite your engines. You are in the right place and the right space. This morning, we are going to bring to you a dynamic interview from Michelle Harden, the brandmaster herself, along with an amazing guest this morning. So I have one announcement that I wanted to get out to you. We are starting Mentor Me on Monday, July 5th. Monday, July 5th, we are starting the Mentor Me platform that's actually going to be coaching, developed, and strategically set up to help you actually focus on your mindset, having the proper motivation, and literally actually setting you up to monetize your digital content on a whole different platform. So we are excited to connect with you. I hope you sit back, relax, and enjoy the brand master, Miss Michelle Harden herself, and her dynamic guest that's going to be able to bless you this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Darrell. Thank you. Grand risings to everybody who is listening right now. And welcome to Ask the Brandmaster. My name is Michelle Harden, and I'm so grateful to be with you another day to bring you great information. I've been highlighting resilient entrepreneurs, kingdompreneurs, and those that need to be celebrated in the industry in which they serve. So we're here this morning with another dynamic interview. And I want you guys right now to do me a huge favor. Grab your pen, grab your pad or your iPad, your digital device. You want to take notes. This morning is about shifting your mind into a place of knowing that you can win government grants and contracts, those RFPs that you see that come through that everybody bids on. Why not you? So we want to give you some information to let you know how you can connect with us so we can help you begin to build your information to apply for these government grants and contracts. So am I going to do it? No, that is not my wheelhouse. I want to stay in my lane, and that is bringing and connecting great people together as a netfluencer to help you get to where you need to get to. So we'll come back later on in the broadcast and give you some announcements on how you can continue to connect with us. But right now, it is all about my guest this morning. I want to introduce and bring to the broadcast right now none other than Greg Moore. So I want Greg to say good morning to you. Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Good morning.
It is so great to see you this morning.
It's great to see you as well.
To get ready for this dynamic conversation. You're just a wealth of information as it relates to how small businesses as well as nonprofits, business owners can be trained and can begin to engage into the area of competing for grants. So what I want to start off by doing is slowing down the pace just a little bit. And I want you to tell people in your own words, who is Greg Moore? Give them a backdrop of who you are.
Okay, a quick snapshot. It goes back a little, quite a few years since I'm getting up there now. But I started out. I started out in the '90s, in my early 20s. I started out as a substance abuse therapist.
Okay.
I was a substance abuse therapist for the first 6, 7 years of my career. I worked with homeless shelters. I worked with homeless veterans. I worked in a women's recovery center as well. So I kind of started out. So that I wanted to mention that because that gives me the people aspect of what I do.
Right.
So I hadn't mentioned that before. I don't think you knew about that. I just wanted to mention that. But then I went on to get into more so land and government and getting involved into the contracts. I started out in my early mid-20s writing contracts for nonprofits, for citizen district councils, neighborhood councils, and assisting them in getting proposals and winning, smaller grants and things like that. And as I continued my career, I eventually moved up with the higher level of contracts and, overseeing $40 million contracts, awarding multi-million-dollar contracts as well to my company, and helping many other companies win contracts as well. As you know, I had mentioned to you before that, my background is urban planning. I have a master's in urban planning. My doctorate is my studies, 3.5 year studies, is in business and organizational leadership. So that kind of all brought things together for me, even though I had a lot of experience. That continued study gave me more additional perspectives, along with all the practical perspectives that I had, and getting that human perspective and that genuine concern for people early on, and being empathetic and sympathetic of what people are going through. probably was more important than anything else that happened.
Yeah.
Because it keeps you grounded and understanding that, and you see what people go through. So that part of it gave me that good human perspective, and makes you have a genuine concern and know that people going through things, no
Yeah.
matter what role you interacting with them. That perspective gave me an understanding that we interacting on government and contracts, if we networking, if we doing TV shows, I have an understanding that everybody goes through something. And I
Yeah.
try to keep that in mind in terms of how I interact with them throughout my career. So that's kind of me in a nutshell, from a professional standpoint. That's,
And you know what? As an entrepreneur, that's where a lot of us hang our hats. That's who we are. Business, personal is all about, serving, and it's all about helping other people. And I love that about who you are and who I've learned that to be in you. Let's go ahead and dive into this conversation with government contracts, grants, and I want to talk about RFPs as well. So before we get started, I know sometime in your world, this is common language that you speak every day. Sometimes people don't know the difference between the contracts, and they don't know the difference between grants, and they really don't understand RFPs. So before we dive into the conversation, can you just give us some definition on what those words are, or those terms are?
okay, that's a very good question. That's a very good point to segue in. Just to argue, let's just start out with grants and nonprofits, which those two correlate. Let's keep that in mind. The grants correlate with nonprofits because when you receive a grant, you're receiving a grant. It's being given to you, and you have to perform at that point. But it's not as stringent as a contract.
Okay.
It's not as stringent as a contract. A contract is more so business related.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more so business related. When you're given a grant as your organization, it's more so to support your efforts in whatever nonprofit concern that you're pursuing, or whatever your mission is as your nonprofit, is to support that mission. We're
Yes.
giving you this grant to support that mission. And so, of course, contracts, you have to provide a business service or a product in
Okay.
return. So it's, in terms of a contract, it's a lot more stringent. The oversight is probably a little more stringent as well. As far as a nonprofit go, if you want to think of some nonprofits, you think of Red Cross,
Okay.
you think of the Salvation Army.
Goodwill is one. Goodwill. Yeah.
Yeah, Goodwill. So those are nonprofits that receive grants as well, and we all understand their mission.
Yes.
So it's various different aspects of that mission that they have. So they can get grant for something that's just serving seniors, something for
Yes.
just serving youth, something for food service programs, for feeding the homeless. So you're supporting that mission. And as long as they're carrying out that mission of public service or the service of serving people, then they continue. Then you get a grant to support that.
Yes.
Yes, but as a business, it's different. You have to show that you can provide that product, or you can provide that service, and you have to be able to provide it at the highest level possible.
Yeah.
So, and that's where the RFP comes in. When the request for proposal, in terms of how you compete. Now you're competing with other businesses. It's also pretty much the same. You're competing with other nonprofits as well as with the grants.
Yeah.
But it's just it's a little more stringent with the contracts because people have to be held, serving. You have to be responsible with whichever one you get because it's all dealing with funding, and you have requirements that you have to fulfill. But when it's business related, and that's just a little more scrutiny there.
Wow. And I thank you for giving us that, terminology, because sometimes we get them, we don't really know which one to go after, and how, we can apply for those particular grants. What I want to do this morning is really dispel the myth in several different categories, and we'll talk about those as we go along. But before we do, what makes you the expert in being able to share about grants? Give us your backdrop and experience and awards with being a grant writer and a grant expert, facilitator, and presenter.
Okay, well, what makes me an expert is, over 25, 30 years of experience, number one.
Mm-hmm.
That's one, the experience. Number two, a track record of success.
Yes.
I would, if I didn't feel I had the tools to provide to other people to be successful in this process,
Yes.
then it's very likely that I wouldn't even attempt to spread the word of being an expert per se.
Yeah.
So being an expert is understanding the process,
Mm-hmm.
being able to understand every aspect of the process,
Mm-hmm.
and have fulfilled those successfully. As I stated before, I've been successfully winning over 25 years.
Yes.
Not just, and I have a very high success rate. And on many occasions, the first proposal that I actually had, submitted was awarded. So
Mm-hmm.
and I've competed nationally. In a lot of cases, people are not familiar with how governments receive funding. As a government employee at the time when I was working for the government, we had to compete nationally to receive funds for our city. You compete with other cities around the country to receive federal funds.
Hmm.
So city representatives, we have to submit proposals as well to higher levels of government to get state and federal funding, which a lot of people do not realize. So
Mm-hmm.
you're competing with other cities of a similar size throughout the country. And even within your state, you're competing. When you compete for state funds, you're competing with those cities as well to get portions brought to your city. And so it was on multiple occasions I competed for United States Environmental Protection Agency funds. It was a national competition to win this award for environmental management for the public lighting and the water department. And
Mm-hmm.
I beat out every other city in the United States and won that contract for city of Detroit during that time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it basically allowed us to learn environmental practices from cities. The funding we got from that, I basically traveled the entire country looking at other cities and their practices and how they did environmental management in their utilities departments and brought those practices back to the city of Detroit to implement those as well. So
Mm-hmm.
that, and in addition to that, I managed another federal project for about, I think, 4 years, and I was actually nominated for a Vice President Al Gore Sustainability Award at that time, based on the illegal dumping program that I managed for 4 years. It was a multi-agency task force, and I was nominated for that award as well. So that kind of like, in many public companies here, I won from PPE to real estate contracts to parking equipment contracts, and these for private companies.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are for private companies. Auto contracts.
Mm-hmm.
I helped a gentleman who had a car sales business, and a particular government agency was looking for new police cars.
Mm-hmm.
And I helped him submit his proposal, and he won that contract. And he provided vehicles to the department at that time. So it's just a wider range.
Yeah.
Me myself, I was awarded one, and my company that I eventually started, I was awarded a multi-million-dollar contract, which I managed for 2 years and maintained the company for 10 years.
Okay.
And so that track record of success is why I consider myself an expert. And most of the people who I worked with over the years, I think they would acknowledge
I would
that.
agree. You got them the money. Let me
I think they would acknowledge that as
They
well.
would say that as well. Yeah. Let me just speak to our audience right now and let you know why we're having this conversation today at this particular time. I work with so many nonprofits, and most of what the communication, you're very passionate about the service that you offer, no matter what industry it is in.
Mhm.
But one of the things that you lack is money, finances, resources to be able to help you to forge your company or your mission and your vision to the next level. So in order to do that, to be able to compete, there is a structure, there's a process, there's a system in which we have to comply with to say that we want to obtain a grant. So we can't just write a grant or say, I'm the best at doing this, and we know we're the best at it, but we don't put it on paper. We don't follow the process of it. So Greg has come at this particular time, and our paths have crossed to present to you guys an opportunity where you can sit in a room and you can go through that process and you can understand what is necessary in order for you to compete for the RFP, for the grants, the contracts, how you need to write the RFP, and things that you need to do. So I want Greg right now to kind of speak to just an overview of that process, what people need to prepare for before they even start thinking about writing a grant. So, what are some of the things they need to prepare for?
Well, if you before you start writing a grant, the most important thing to do is understand your capacity to carry out whatever responsibilities is going to be requested from you.
Hmm.
So it's good to evaluate it.
Yeah.
It's good to in whatever stage you are, it's okay.
Hmm.
Whatever it's one thing I learned throughout, especially business, even through studies, that your vision and your mission needs to coincide with your practice.
Wow.
It has to coincide with your practice.
Hmm.
So your mission can't continually change. It has to be something embedded in you and the motivation that you utilize to thrive every day to fulfill that vision, to
Hmm.
fulfill that mission, has to be delivered.
Hmm.
So, how you evaluate your vision and how you evaluate your mission, and is it going to be consistent with what you're pursuing?
Yeah.
So once
That's
you
good.
do, it's more important to do a self evaluation than it is to evaluate a proposal, because that's how you find out what you're consistent or inconsistent with.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's a very, very key aspect. If you don't have a team,
Exactly. That's
then
what I was going for. Yeah.
yeah, if you don't have a team in place to carry out what the requirements are, then this this particular course will guide you in terms of what components of that team that you will need.
Yes.
If your perspective is not clear at this point, when you finish the training that we're going to provide on July 31st, you'll have a perspective of the pieces that you need in place,
Yes.
because you can't put something in place without knowing a path to carry it out, per se.
Hmm.
This will help you have a perspective in terms of what do I need from my organization if I choose to pursue these grants and cover contracts. What
Hmm.
does my organization need in terms of people, in terms of a building, in
Yes.
terms of finances? And I would suggest before the training, do a one-page summary
Hmm.
of what you need to accomplish that mission that coincides with your vision. And if
Wow.
you know if you can do that in one page,
Hmm.
and then you align that with the practices that we're going to bring to you during this training, and
Hmm.
then that should give you a better perspective on what type I should start considering, and then at what level should I even consider pursuing them? So
That's
that's kind of what I think people should start to internalize to some degree.
Yeah. And this is high level. This is, when you know that you're ready, that your organization is positioned with their mission of who they are and what they want to do. I call it your avatar. You know who you're called to serve, what that
Mhm.
community look like. And Greg, you gave a very great example about a grant that you got awarded that you were very passionate about. It was about the community, the senior community. I want you to, share that, because I think that helps people get a visualization on why the money is available, how it is obtainable, and how you are fulfilled when you're able to have the resources needed to make people's lives better. So the senior living community, speak to that particular grant that you were awarded and what it meant to those people that it served.
Oh yeah, that's like the highlight of my grants because initially the good part about it is first of all nobody believed I was going to win because I was 24, 25. The
Wow.
average age on the board was 55 and up, so nobody wanted to listen to me. Number one, and they didn't. Of course, they didn't want to write grants either. But I
Yeah.
told them it came out. I found a solicitation, and
Uh-huh.
I was getting, I was still kind of green, but I knew I could. I was confident that I could win,
Uh-huh.
and so I brought it to them, and fortunate enough, this was all volunteer. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the best wins are volunteer. It was nothing came to me but helping these seniors win this grant. That was it.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I was a volunteer board member.
Wow.
It was the community that I lived in,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to help. And I knew some of them were retirees and they were on limited income. So I just wanted, hey, let's. It's ways that we can get your houses fixed up. It's money available, but it can be $20 billion available. If you don't apply, you're only going to get 0 cents. So the
Big
first step
claim.
in the
Big
process,
claim.
right? So first, I had to get over the hurdle of allowing me to submit the proposal. So I had to have committee meetings and go through a process. I had to basically convince them that I could write. This young guy can write this bid. So eventually they done it, and then they loved me so much after that. I'm not really a political person, but um, after that, I didn't go after the board again, and they put my name back in the pot, and they actually got me enough votes to be elected back to the board when I wasn't even running, technically wanting to run for the
They
board.
say, no, we need him. We want him on board.
But I eventually, moved on. But that was real gratifying because they did get a certain amount of money for the housing renovation. It was a housing renovation grant,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it was actually federal funds that flowed through the state, flowed through the city, and the nonprofit communities had to apply for it.
Yeah.
And I was one of the winners, and the nonprofit was one of the winners, but I was the one who initiated, and it was very gratifying.
Yes.
I didn't want anything from it. I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to make sure they had something.
Wow. That's
And
powerful.
that's one of my biggest wins.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a powerful story, and I love hearing that each time you share it. We're referencing July 31st because on July 31st, we have an opportunity to serve a small group of people. We have a limited amount of seats for this workshop, and we did it this way so that Greg would have the opportunity to interact and to engage with the attendees. So we want you to go to askthebrandmaster.com and register. This is going to be a phenomenal breakthrough for, I believe, a lot of companies and nonprofits who have positioned their companies during the pandemic to provide a service, to have a mission, and you're ready to have the resources and you have somewhat of a team. You just need to know everybody that you need to have. Come to this meeting. I want to challenge you to come to this meeting and get the information you need. And I would say, do not come by yourself. This would be a great investment for those pastors to come out, get the information, but don't come by yourself, because you know you're not going to be the one that's implemented. Bring that volunteer, that person that's gifted in reading and writing and understanding contract languages, to get the information so that you can begin your community development corporations. You can begin to infiltrate the communities with your vision, and not just that, businesses. If your business, as Greg spoke to earlier, that offers a service, or you have a product that may be available, come out so you can learn how you can compete for these RFPs and know how to fill them out. I want to talk about now the biases, Greg. There are some biases, or the myth of biases, that grants are only given to people that the awardees know. Maybe they've been writing grants for all these years, like a Goodwill. Goodwill always get money and has $1 million operation by selling the clothes we donate, right?
Right.
But they have $1 million operation, but they came up with the idea. It's a great idea, and they employ people who are disadvantaged or disenfranchised. So they're helping, giving back to that population of people. But it's a multi-million-dollar operation that they've come up with, that they're making a profit from. Speak to, and help us with a regular nonprofit that's been on this, service road, helping people that don't think that they qualify for these type of grants.
Well, that's understandable, because when you're trying to get your legs under you, in a sense, any loss hurt a little more than it would if you were on your feet, per se.
Okay.
Yeah. So, the most important thing is, don't assume it's a bias or favoritism if you haven't applied yet.
Okay.
So if you haven't applied for anything yet, and you haven't lost, and you haven't went through a series of losses, then that perspective really shouldn't be included in the conversation, so to speak, because you need some practical no's. You need some actual no's, not perceived no's. And a lot of people lose before they start because of reasons they think. Wow. And if I wouldn't have, and just for example, the board that I was representing, the board where I was the only young guy, they was under that same premise. Why should we even apply when they always get it?
Yeah.
Okay, how are you going to get it if you don't apply?
If you don't make yourself aware of who you are, right?
Right. So you can be doing the greatest things in the world. If you don't have a document to show who you are, guess what? They don't even know you.
Yeah. Make some noise, y'all. Make some noise.
They don't even know you. You know 10 people around town that you told about your nonprofit, and that's it. You think it's nationally known. No, it's not. Nobody knows about it.
You just killed somebody's dream right there.
Nobody knows about it.
Job.
But the way to get known is putting the ink to the pad. Yes. When you put the ink to the pad, you get known, because it's documented and it's sitting in front of it, and they reading about you. Now you're in somebody's psyche. How you get to psyche? If you want to know how to get inside somebody's psyche, write something down and give it to them, because they got to read it. It's going through their mind. It's affecting their thoughts. It's affecting everything. So that's number one. Let's exclude that entire crowd that hasn't submitted one in that perspective. Now, for those who have submitted one, and those, we know that all of us deal with disappointment and losses in a different manner. Absolutely. Yes. So some of them gain that perspective because they lost one time, 2 times, or 3 times. And so everybody got favoritism because you lost 3 times. Well, winning is losing. You don't win until you lose. So if you don't accept losing as part of your win, that's why you haven't won a proposal yet, and you develop a negative perspective about things.
Yeah.
Now, if you knew some of the big losses that I've had,
Mm-hmm.
you would wonder, why am I still doing this?
Wow.
I
Wow.
mean, the losses I had is so huge that it could cover a whole neighborhood in Houston.
So let me ask you this, Greg. Was there a grant that you just knew that you had? You knew you was going to get this grant. You had planned what you was going to do with this grant, and you lost it. Have you ever had that
Oh
moment?
yeah. And most of the time, and you know what? Sometimes it may have went to people who who networked better, who wrote better, or who had a better organization, or for whatever reason I didn't win. It wasn't win because I felt somebody had greater favor. I felt somebody else win because I didn't do the legwork that I needed to do to put myself in a better position than them. Some
Wow.
people just know how to position themselves better, whether it's through their outgoing networking, bubbly personality where they know how to get to know people better. They're not getting favor, they're
Mm-hmm.
winning. And they know how to win better than you.
Yes.
So you
Yeah.
can't get mad at them because they know how to win, because they know how to network and get close to people who make decisions. We
Take
can't
it
get
out of their
mad at
mouth,
them.
right?
Right.
They say a closed mouth don't get fed.
Don't get fed.
Yeah.
And a pen that a pen that don't get used don't get fed either. Because either you're selling through your mouth or you're selling through paper.
Wow.
So which one are you going to win from? The written or the verbal? Because if you're not doing neither one of those, then there's no options for you.
That's
But you're
good.
not talking to nobody in words through your mouth, and you're not talking to nobody through words on paper.
Yeah.
So who hear what you're talking about? Who even knows? Right? Nobody.
We're gonna take a break and we coming back. We come back
Right.
and talk to you. We're gonna talk to you about feedback, how they give you feedback. We're gonna talk about collaborations. We're gonna talk about a few more things before we leave for today. So just stand by. Let me do a couple of announcements and I'll be right back. Guys, thank you so much for joining us this morning on Ask the Brandmaster. You're hearing a phenomenal conversation with my guest, Greg Moore, who is a great expert. He's presenting a conference, a workshop on July 31st at the Houston Baptist University, and you must register. If you are a nonprofit organization, if you're a business that you offer product or services, you want to make sure that you get in the room. It's going to be limited seating. I know you have heard that before, limited seating, and sometimes you don't really believe it, but really this is limited seating. And we're doing it so that Greg has an opportunity to interact and to engage with your questions and kind of walk you through. Some of you guys already have programs in place that you need funding for. You have ideas that you just need to know how to apply for these grants. So I want to make sure that you are definitely in the room. So go to askthebrandmaster.com and just scroll down and you'll see the flyer there with Greg's picture. Go ahead and register, get the seat. What I want to encourage you on is consider doing the companion package. The companion package means that you guys are of the same organization and you just need a companion to come with you to digest and to process all of the information. So consider that package to sign up for. So that's going to be on July the 31st. Also beginning this Monday, guys, let me put up this slide for you. We're hosting the Mentor Me Mastermind Meetup. This is going to be at 6 p.m. on Monday evenings. A group of entrepreneurs are coming together, number one, to connect and network, to share who we are and what we do. Also for accountability. We're at more than the half mark of the year. Another 6 months to get it done, right? To end this year strong. You need accountability to check in, to ask questions on, how you need to market it, what's the best position, who's the, resources, or how you can just do it yourself. Some of these things you can do it yourself. And so strategies for execution, we're going to be talking about these things. Go ahead and register, same website, askthebrandmaster.com. I want to see you there. We also have a special feature that we will be doing a book read that's going to help us with mindset. And so, with that being said, guys, go to the website, be a part of these two major events that are coming up, and I look forward to working with you to help you finish strong. You got it? Got it? Go ahead and share and like and engage with us in those on those platforms. So now let me bring back my guest, Greg Moore. Let's continue this conversation on government grants, contracts, and RFPs. This is what we're talking about today. All right, Greg, let's continue this conversation about, these government contracts that are available for us. I want you now to talk about the feedback when you apply for a grant. I think it was important you made mention of that. When you apply for a grant and you don't get it, right? You have an opportunity to ask questions why. How important is that to have those relationships? And I know you're going to take a deeper dive in the workshop, but just on the surface, just tell us how important that is to have that feedback.
Oh, well, it's the feedback you get from a loss is just as good as the feedback you get back. It's actually better than a win because once you lose, your senses are a little more keener than they would be when you're winning because you're excited.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're dealing with a different set of emotions that comes with losing, your senses typically are heightened because of the emotional aspects of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that's an opportunity for you to interact with the people who actually facilitated the RFP or the process for the grant.
Mm-hmm.
And then so upon that loss, what you want to do is learn, where did I go wrong?
Yes.
As I stated before, I submitted a huge bid for a huge contract, and I know I crossed every T and dotted every I, and it was probably a 50-page written proposal. When you start getting into the 50 pages,
Yeah. Wow.
you're talking about huge millions at that point.
Wow.
When the bigger the proposal, the bigger the pockets.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was pretty sure that I had locked that one in. When I called him, I was very cordial. I was very professional. I'm thinking, but and I was 100% nice. Even though my insides was on fire. But no, none of it was shown. That's a big good part about losing. And when you're dealing with people, it's not necessary for everybody to see your anger or you being upset or disappointed.
Yes.
Go talk to somebody else and get it off your chest, and then when you're ready to talk about business, get happy again. So,
Yeah.
so I called him. We was real cordial. He was very nice. We actually set a date to go over my proposal.
Wow.
And yeah, we set a date to go over my proposal so he can explain to me where I had my shortcomings.
Mm-hmm.
And he pointed out a couple of things that were very accurate.
Wow.
Because the entity that I was affiliated with at that time, even though my proposal, he loved the proposal. Wow. And he said, and when we were done, he said, you go here and register here and make sure you keep bidding because we would love to have you as a bidder. So I afterwards, even though I lost, I still felt I won. But he had some very valid points. I went up against companies that had been doing a similar business 15, 20, 25 years. The company I was affiliated with wasn't even 2 years old yet.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you're not going to beat out a company that got 500 employees and you got 6, and it's a $30 million contract. Come on now. Yeah. I mean, do you even have a bank account big enough to hold the money? Even though the guys I was just, my affiliates I was partnering with, they actually, they had done like 20, 30 million that year in business. Mm-hmm. But we didn't compare to the $1 billion that they was doing every year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it just, but he said we were right there with them. Even the biggest companies, my proposals are right there with them. You can go get them from anywhere in the world and let's line them up and my proposals are right there with them. Because
Wow.
in most of them, they won, but you see the feedback I got.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went through it, and he was like, because one point he thought I missed, because I said I didn't miss. I don't think I missed anything in that.
Uh-huh.
He pointed out, and then we went through my proposal and actually found that it was in there. He's like, oh, you did have that in there. So, but it was the experience.
Yes. Yes.
It was the company experience. It was the resumes of the people that was doing the deal. They had success, but it wasn't long enough. It didn't show stability. A company fall in the first 5 years. A company can fall, a nonprofit or a profit.
Right.
So
That's true.
Think of it in life years. I mean, how confident are you in the 5-year-old to give them something?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's your company if you're under
Wow.
5 years. So that's your company under 5 years.
Yeah.
So we have to understand how new we are until we've established an extended track record. And sometimes I expect too much because that's what I do. But
Mhm.
sometimes it's not warranted for me to expect that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
I even expect it for other people who I work with, and it may not necessarily be warranted. But in order to win, you have to keep that perspective
Mm-hmm.
in the forefront to keep your mission going.
Right. Right.
So and actually in some senses, when you see those type of contracts are available, in a lot of cases, you evaluate yourself. And if you know that capacity is not there, don't do it. I may have written maybe in the last 8 months for a particular company, I probably submitted 60, maybe about 50 proposals.
Mm.
You know how many I turned down in that evaluation process that I had to review? 225.
Wow.
So I reviewed almost 300, and
Mm-hmm.
I only submitted probably 40 or 50.
Wow.
That's why I win.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you willing to review 100, break it down to 20 or 30, and then submit the ones most suitable for you? You
Yeah.
might win then.
Yeah. That is great, guys. I want you to come out and meet Greg. It's going to be a phenomenal conversation. There was so much more that I wanted to share with that, especially talking about collaboration. And you mentioned something that we'll end with this. You mentioned that when you are a young company or a young nonprofit, it behooves you to get with someone who has done this before or who has more longevity in the time frame of being in the service that you are providing. It's going to help you get more knowledge. It's going to give you more experience, and it's going to give you hopefully the additional resume that you need for them, being in a collaborative opportunity with you to help you get what you need. But come out on July the 31st, get this information. I'm going to put up the slide real quick. This is the event that we're talking about that we want you to definitely come out and be a part of on July the 31st. Win government grants and contracts. You will be able to, have a lunch. It's almost a lunch and learn. Greg will be on hand to share with you the information in which walking you through. I almost want to say it's like the 12 steps to success.
It's very close.
A successful grant or contract. So any last remarks or anything you want the people to know before we actually leave and jump off today?
Sure. I'm gonna close with this. I just want to say that I have a process. I have a secret sauce to the way I write proposals.
Okay.
And if you know how to break it down the right way when you start it, it'll make it very easy to write.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a way you outline a proposal, and it's a way you pull certain things out in the beginning to make sure you don't miss anything. First of all, I'm gonna provide my secret sauce during the workshop. And another thing, I just want to hit the key points that we're going to touch real quick, and I'm gonna close with that. I just want to know we're gonna identify the sources to locate grants and proposals. We're gonna give you a myriad of sources and a myriad of databases over probably 20 sites where you can go to find grants and contracts.
Wow.
We're gonna go over the process of how you research these opportunities. We're gonna talk extensively on the researching process. That's a big part of it, as I said, with the 300 that I researched, and only so many qualified that I felt that's going to be appropriate. And we're going to show you how to select the right opportunity for your organization. How do you select the right opportunity for your organization? We're going to do that. Then we're going to go into actually writing the proposals and grants. The process that you actually write, each stage of the process to write this proposal. Then how do you submit it? What's the process to submit the bid? We're going to talk about the various different ways. It's mail, email, fax. It has to be formatted certain. It has to have certain letters and to go along with it. And then we're going to talk about how do I follow up? How do I attract my grant or proposal, whether it's award or non-award? Because if you start submitting them, then you got to keep track of all of them.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have a session where we have questions and answers, and we're going to try to facilitate everybody's concerns at that point and leave with everybody on a real mission for success.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be exciting. Thank you so much, Greg.
You're
I'm
welcome.
looking forward to seeing you guys register. Remember, limited seats. You want to go ahead and spot in your place to be there. And I'm just glad that you guys are here. You will be hearing from Greg again real soon. He is not just a grant expert. He is an innovator. So he has something that he's going to be sharing with the audience again.
Can't wait for that. I can't wait to talk about that.
That almost seemed like your hobby. That's the thing you do when you're not writing grants. It seemed like that's your fun.
That's my future.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I look forward to having that conversation with you.
Appreciate being here. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Guys, go out, have an amazing day, and remember to join me the rest of this week and next week. We have a huge lineup for you, bringing entrepreneurs that we're celebrating their gifts and their talents and what they bring to the marketplace. And also, they're resilient and just pressing through. As you heard Greg talk about today, he just didn't start this, last week or last year. He's been in this game over 20 something years, 30 years, and been very successful. So those are the tracks that we want to follow in. They said success leave clues, the steps of people who are walking in their place. It leaves clues. So follow those clues. Don't reinvent the wheel. Go ahead and get with the person who has the knowledge to get you to the place and the destiny that you want to be. All right. See you later. God bless. Have an amazing day. And we look forward to seeing you real soon.